without further ado, I'd love to introduce you right now to the amazing Mike Campbell. So let's hear it for him, everybody. Mike, it's so great to see you. You know, I love when I get to talk to you. And sometimes, sometimes, Mike, we go off, we start talking about 60s records that we love and great songs, and you guys have done some of the greatest covers of those 60s songs. But, your book, Heartbreaker, is an incredible book. So much that I learned from that. And would you guys agree with that? How amazing. Mike, I've got to say, literally, you've been a part of some of the greatest records ever recorded and continue to make great music, which I love so much. And there's so I just want to start by talking about how, first of all, and thank you for, even before I worked at the station, I was just a fan of the station. I know that early on that you and the band, you with the Heartbreakers, had done a concert for KCSN, and how much we appreciate that for the SoCal sound, how much it meant. But so, Mike, you're going to talk to me about, I want to talk about, you of course were born in like Panama City, but as a kid you grew up in like Jacksonville area first. But I want to talk to you about how you ended up, then meeting Tom and then going to Gainesville. But can we talk about the first time you came here to this city, when you came to Los Angeles for the first time?
Yeah, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Matt. This place, I haven't been here in several years, and believe me, there's a lot of Heartbreakers ghosts in this building. I was informed today that the Heartbreakers actually booked more studio time here than anybody in history. So we supported this place for several years. It was our home away from home, and I love this studio. So many great records, from Fleetwood Mac to Nirvana to Lord knows who else. And the first time we came here was probably for some Shelter demo or something. But the first time that meant something was the day I met Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah.
And he's a producer who produced our third album. And I remember walking into Sound City, and he was at there used to be a pinball machine called an Amigo.
Yeah.
And he was at the Amigo, and I walked by and I said, "Hey, are you Jimmy?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he was like, "Don't bother me," And I said, "What are you doing?" And he goes, "I'm just waiting for the big ball." And what he meant was like, let's make a hit record, But and we spent a lot of time here, and we had some nervous breakdowns, we had some band fights, we had some makeups, we had some amazing experiences, though, and over the years. It's nice to come back here. It kind of feels like home in a way.
Yeah.
I got to share something with you, though. You mentioned Breakdown.
Yeah.
When our first record came out, it didn't do very well, in America especially, and Breakdown got a little airplay.
Yeah.
But just an aside, it just popped into my head when you said that. When we bumped into George Harrison many years later, he was going, "Yeah, I heard this song on the radio called Breakdown, and they said it was you guys, but there was some Spanish fellow singing." And Tom goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "It's all right if you love me. It's all right if you don't." Tom said, "That was me, man. That's just me." So, I'm sorry. Ever since I did the book, all these memories pop in out of nowhere. So there you go.
It's so great.
It's going to be that kind of night.
Yeah. So, you came out here, of course, Mudcrutch did the first single, Depot Street, you know what I mean? And which was, I remember buying a bootleg of it. That's how, obsessed I was with the band. And but I just gotta say, then you made those first two albums, which were incredible, and you also made those in this town, even though they weren't here. You did those with Denny Cordell. Can we talk about those first two records and what that experience was?
Yeah, Denny Cordell got our demo that we sent out from Florida, and we got rejects from everyone, Except Denny showed an interest in us. He liked a couple of songs that were on the demo, and it was a great combination that we met up with him because he said we were going to go out to L.A. We had nothing. We had a truck. We had sold everything to get a truck to put our gear in, and we had our dogs and girlfriends. We were driving out to L.A., to the land of opportunity. We didn't know shit, But we met Denny in Tulsa on the way out at the Shelter Studios of Leon Russell. And Denny just like, God bless him, I don't think I'd be here because he saw something in us, especially in me and Tom and Ben, that we didn't even see yet. That there was a magic there that we were just, we were scuffling along. We didn't know what we were doing, but he saw it, And he said, if you guys just focus on your writing, you'll be a millionaire someday. We're going, really?
Yeah.
That's like, are you kidding me? It'd be like being told you're going to be a billionaire, nowadays. But I remember once in Tulsa, we went across the cafe from the studio to get something to eat, and we're walking back, and I was just a young, stupid redneck, I said, so Denny, can you make us like the Beatles? And he looked at me and said, well, that's up to you, kid.
That's a great.
But Denny had this great overview. He wasn't a musician, and he wasn't technically good in the studio, but he knew songs, and he knew character, and he knew purity in the singer. And he saw in Tom what Tom would become. He wasn't there yet. And at the time, Tom was trying to find his own voice, and a lot of the stuff that Tom was writing, which a lot of us do, there's probably songwriters in here now, when sometimes you emulate Bob Dylan because he's easier to, it's not like opera, So Tom would have some of those inflections.
Yeah.
But then he got tight about it, he said, everything I do has this Dylan flavor. I got to get that out. And Denny said, in his genius, don't worry about that. Don't think about it. Don't put your mind there. Just keep doing it. And eventually you'll find your voice. And that was the type of guy Denny was. He was a guru, like a visionary.
Yeah. And were you familiar with the stuff he had done? And you obviously were
Go
a fan
Now,
of like things like
and,
those Leon Russell
Procol
records, like
Harum,
Carney.
Leon Russell, Mad Dog's an Englishman. Yeah, Denny had quite a resume. And he was English, which made it cool,
Yeah. It's amazing how too, Mike. You guys, when you came out with the first record, and England embraced you first, and it's amazing. You went over there, you were on the Old Grey Whistle test. American Girl was, and Anything That's Rock and Roll released as singles, which were great songs from that first record. But then you came back to LA, and that feeling was because you got so much love and warmth over there. Here it was still, it was harder filling clubs at that point, right?
Well, it was a blessing that they liked us because we put the record out, and Breakdown got a little airplay, I think, in San Francisco, and maybe American Girl in Boston, a little airplay, but piddly, nothing, And then they said, well, we're going to send you over to England, and you're going to open for Nils Lofgren. He's got a tour set up. So we went over there, and we didn't know, but we were going to England. That's where the Beatles are and the Stones are from. We were so excited, young and impressionable. And we got over there, and the NME and stuff, Musical Express and the press, they liked what we were doing. They got it, for some reason, more than America. So they pumped us up, and we went on tour with Nils, and we kind of were, we were a rough opening act to open, for, to have open for you, because we were going to take no prisoners,
Yeah.
And we kind of put Nils through it a little bit. As this tour went on, our stage space got smaller and smaller. God bless them, but I don't blame them. But so the press, they picked up on what we were doing, and it's like they thought we were a punk band because that was '77 when there was a lot of punk going on, and I guess because of the leather jacket on the cover, we looked kind of like a punk band. And Tom was doing an interview with one of them, and they go, "So you're a punk band?" And he goes, "Call me a punk and I'll cut you," which is like, that's Tom, But we weren't really a punk band. We were a rock and roll band, but they liked us. And so from that momentum, we came back to America, and we came back thinking, okay, we're shit. We got back here, we couldn't get arrested, again. So we kept making more records.
Yeah. And then, You're Gonna Get It, which was just an incredible record. And it was one of those situations where the word started spreading, and that was the thing. By that time when that album came out, it was beautiful to come see you guys live. New York Palladium, I remember that show. And
New York Palladium, yeah, that was a great place.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
just to see you guys there was incredible to see you headlining.
Well, your age is showing, Matt.
It is. It's okay. Yeah, and I'm cool with that. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that. You know, I'm just trying to hide anything to be fake. You know, be real. So, but I love that, and I'm glad. I'm grateful.
As Pete Townsend says, yeah, I'm old, but I'm not boring.
Yeah, that's the way. That's the way to be. Exactly.
But yeah, I love the Palladium, and you're going to get it with our second album, and it had, Listen to Her Heart, and I Need to Know, and a few things on it, and it didn't do much either. So Denny Cordell, in his wisdom for our third album, said, you guys are ready to break, but I'm not the producer. I don't have the sound for you. You need to get this guy Jimmy Iovine. And he hooked us up with him. And then our third album was the breakthrough Damn the Torpedoes album.
It was amazing, and you ended up doing that here in this place.
That's right.
It's incredible. Sound City. I mean, you guys put it on the map. I mean, it was unbelievable because obviously like you said, that Fleetwood Mac album was done here, and Cheap Trick, Heaven Tonight, things like that were done here, and great history, of course, and then Nirvana after that, and quite a few other people followed. But it was you guys that really, at that period of time, had put the studio on the map. Tell me, was it? How did you feel? Because here you were out. Living here at that period of time, but it was also, there were a lot of changes taking place in your life because you guys had gone through the whole situation where, the record label was sold to, MCA at the time, and you guys were ready for a change, and then the whole thing happened with the label and Denny Bramson and those guys, and it's amazing. I'm so glad that there was the love out there for you, like your fans, like we had. There were people that were ready to push forward and use whatever influence they had, like Danny Bramson at the time, and the label.
Well, a lot of that getting us aware, or getting people aware of us, was Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah.
And, a producer's job is generally to direct the recordings, make sure that they're produced and finished and polished and all the imperfections are fixed. And then he's done. But Jimmy didn't stop there. Jimmy was determined to make it a hit record. He got on a plane and he flew to every radio station in America with that acetate. He said, "Put this on," And he promoted that record with his life depended on it, and it worked out.
That's God. Amazing. And the first single was "Don't Do Me Like That." I remember when it came out.
Yeah, it was "Don't Do Me Like That." And the funny thing is, when we met Jimmy, we had some demos, and we played him. Two demos. It happened to be my songs and Tom's, my music, and it was "Refugee" and "Here Comes My Girl."
Yeah.
And he heard those two songs, and we started to play the third song. He said, "No, stop. That's all I need. That's all I need. Those two songs are going to do it." And we're like, "You didn't know? What are you talking about, man? Don't you want to hear other songs?" No, he said, "I never listened to side 2 of any album in my whole life." He was all about the hits, and he had a feeling that those songs were going to be timeless. And you know what? He was right. We didn't know. We were just writing them and playing them.
It was amazing. And if you look at the first side of that record, we're going from "Refugee," "Here Comes a Girl," even "The Losers," what an incredible song, and everything on that. And
the sound, the production, the sonics, the drum sound, which Jimmy was famous for, big drums and. Nice shimmery guitars and full sound. Shelley Ackes, the engineer, had a lot to do with it. Yeah. And it put us in the mainstream. Yeah. And I don't know why or how, it's magic, but we were really just grateful and lucky.
Yeah. Shelley Ackes was a great engineer on a lot of records in New York and here, working with you guys. He was... Tell me about that.
He did so many records. Like we were talking earlier, he did some of the Raspberry stuff.
Yes.
He did Blue Cheer, Summertime Blues.
Yeah.
He did Don't Fear the Reaper.
Yeah.
That cowbell was Shelley Ackes.
Yeah.
But Shelley was a sonic bat, Yeah. He would get right into the details, almost to a fault. I couldn't take it, I would never make a record like that again because it's too hard.
Yeah.
But he would get in there and he would spend over here in the other room. He went out with Stan, our drummer, and bought him a whole new drum kit because he thought his drum kit was shit. He went out and they picked out the drums. They took him in there, and he spent 3 days tuning the snare drum. Wow. Okay, try putting the top head to a C sharp and the bottom head to an E flat. Okay, let's try an A flat. Let's try every permutation till we find the right harmonics. And he did that with every instrument, like so meticulous that it took forever, and it kind of wore us down. I mean, we had a couple of nervous breakdowns over there because we wanted to play, and it's like they're busy working on a snare drum. And
Yeah,
we're
but a lot of
sitting
things
around.
were Refugee too, right? There was-
All those, well, Refugee took like, I don't know, 80 takes because we'd be sitting around while they spent a week on the snare and then another week on the kick drum. And they go, okay, we got the sound, guys, go play. And we're like, the box from Hawaii had just showed up and we're like,
little weed and then fatigue, right?
now? You're ready now? And so it was hard to get in sync with it, But that was, it was a labor of love, and it was worth it. And,
Was it a great? That'd be a great feeling at that period of time when all of a sudden, radio got behind you. Like, "Don't Do Me Like That," "Refugee," "Here Comes My Girl" in a row, and then FM stations around the country, because I was around for it, were even like they were just playing everything off the record. After a while, it was really a great.
well, yeah, we were lucky that record just hit a groove. But, "Don't Do Me Like That," I just remember this. We had cut that in the first week and put it aside. We'll come back to that later, but we forgot about it. And the record was almost finished, and it was the second engineer, I forget his name, I think it was Tori. He said, "You guys should listen to that other song, Don't Do Me Like That." And I said, did we record that one? He said, "Yeah, there's a great take of it. You guys didn't listen to it back." And we pulled it out, and there it was.
Yeah.
And Shelley did a thing on Ben's organ to make it wobble in the beginning, that intro, and that just shows that we were, we were musicians, but we didn't really know what we were doing yet, in the studio. But we learned fast.
I certainly did. And then on the Hard Promises, which was done here as well. Tell me about the experience of going out on the road, touring, because now you had a hit album, which, then people were catching up with those fans that loved you for a long time, but it broke through. Tell me what it was like coming back in and getting ready to do that follow-up.
Well, we felt confident after Damn the Torpedoes did well, confident, but also pressure. Okay, now we got to, beat that or match it. And we didn't even know what we did, We just were playing. But it comes down to the songs, Matt. The songs came through, Tom was writing and I was writing a little. But all of a sudden, when the band was there and ready for it, Tom would come in and, "Hey, I've got this song," because he would be inspired by the fact that I can get these guys to play this song. It's going to be great. Yeah. And so, you got Lucky and Woman in Love and Stop Drugging My Heart around that period. We met Stevie too. Yeah. But the songs, matched the moment, and that's really what carried us through. If we hadn't had the songs, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you now.
Yeah, and those songs in each album, as things went on, there were so many great things on there. And you could hear the love and the influence. One of the things that's always been, I think, fans love about you, and I know that I do, is, you've done so many great covers, and of those people who followed you for all these years. And, even from the get-go, when you were doing things like Don't Bring Me Down by the Animals, or I Fought the Law. I mean, it was fantastic. I mean, I found out about Jaguar and Thunderbird by hearing you guys do that. I
remember that one. I love that Chuck Berry song. Most people don't know that, Jaguar and the Thunderbird. We used to play that early on. And Tom had a way with Chuck Berry, and we did too. I mean, we could nail that shit. And we like doing covers, of things that had inspired us, like Don't Bring Me Down. A funny story about that one. That was written by Carole King.
Yeah.
And Jerry Goffin.
Yeah.
Which we played here once at the Universal Amphitheater, the old one, and we did that song, and Jerry Goffin was in the audience. And when we did it on stage, Tom said, "Here's a Carole King song." Oh, it's
Jerry
coming.
came backstage.
So we're backstage, and here comes Jerry Goffin. He walks right up to Tom, and he goes, "So you did a Carole King song, right?" He said, "I wrote that song." Oh, Tom was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. We didn't know." Yeah. But that's a funny story. But yeah, I like doing the covers. It kind of gave us a framework and a reference to where we're coming from,
Yeah, and I mean, and they were, throughout the years, like I said, you've done so many great ones. And can we talk about a song like "Change of Heart," which has just had there's the sound of your guitars, yours and Tom's guitar on that song is just there's always been a love and a beauty, a feeling that you guys have had. You love the sound of things, bands like the Byrds and other people that,
Stones,
mid-period Beatles,
Beatles,
Stones,
all those bands, Animals.
Yes.
Yeah, that was our frame of reference. Yeah. And when we grew up in Florida, we started getting to play around Florida. The Allman Brothers had taken off, and then Leonard Skinner and all the bands in Florida wanted to sound like that, like rock, blues. And we weren't like that at all. We were all influenced by the English bands mostly, and the Beach Boys and stuff like that. So we stood out a little different.
Yeah.
About how I did rocking around with you. I was waiting. You came through. About how I did rocking around with you. All right. Hey, 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 hey. You. Rockin' around, I did. Rockin' around, I did. Rockin' around, I did. Rockin' around, I did. Rockin' around with you. Bobo.
How about let's hear it for Bobo?
Quick pause. Because moments like this only exist thanks to you. Everything you're watching right now is made possible by subscribing members of the SoCal Sound. We're community-powered public radio in Southern California, which means real people choose the playlists, just real artists, real performances, and real conversations. If you believe in independent music and want to help us keep bringing sessions like this to life, take a second to become a donating member. Your donation helps fund the music, the artists, and the conversations you love. Join the community at thesocalsound.org. Make a donation today, and thanks for keeping us going.
Can we, when we talk about, those situations where you've worked with different people, and a song like, The Boys of Summer, which you ended up, of course, writing and bringing that originally to Tom, and then ended up finishing that song and working on it with Don. Tell me about writing a song like that, when you would start with an idea for a track, and then trying to figure out exactly where the framework is and where you go with that.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, that's my writing approach over the years. When Tom was here, my approach, Tom was such a great lyricist. I would never write words, or if I did, I wouldn't show them to him because he would just blow them away with better words. And I didn't need to, but I was really inspired with music, and I would work on music on my own, like Boys of Summer. I got a Lynn drum from my friend Roger Lynn. He gave me one. I thought, I can push buttons and put the drums in any way I want them. I don't have to deal with the drummer doing his thing. I can do it my way, And so I stayed up one night just going, playing with that. And I got a groove going. And then Ben Mutz had left his synthesizer at my house. And I had that. I just stayed up all night just having fun with it, smoking a little pot. And I had the keyboard, da-da-da-da-da, went with the drum beat. Yeah. And so I had my little TIAC 4-track, which was my little workstation, which I wrote a lot of songs on that. So I made a demo on the 4-track of this music, not thinking of what it was this or that or any great or bad or whatever. I was just having fun with it. And I played it for Tom and Jimmy, and they liked it, but they didn't think it fit on the whatever record we were doing at the time. And I think they were right. It was in a different vibe. So Jimmy Iovine called me a few days later, and he said, this guy, Don Henley's looking for songs. Do you have any songs for him? Maybe that one you played us that Tom wasn't going to do. I said, okay, sure. I said, well, is he looking for a ballad or a rocker? He says, he's looking for a hit maker. No, an image maker. He wanted an image maker song. Okay, I'll get right on that. So I already had that track, and I went over to Don's house, and back then it was cassettes. Yeah. And I'd never met him before, and he's pretty intimidating in his own way. So I went over to his house up on Mulholland, and he went into his kitchen. He had this big, long table. He sat at one end of the table, like 12 feet away, and I sat at the other end. Yeah. With a little cassette player. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of scary, Yeah. And so I put my little demo on, and I pushed play, and Don sat at the other end of the table. He was like this. Oh my God. For the whole song. Yeah. Not a twitch, nothing. Yeah. Not a bob, nothing. Just listening, Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, oh fuck, he hates it. This is horrible. So I got to the end and I pushed stop, and he said, okay, leave that with me, and I'll see what I can do with it. And I left his house thinking, oh well, nothing will ever come from that. He didn't like it. He didn't respond at all. And then he called me later, and he said, hey, I've written the best song of my life to your music. And I went, really? I said, what's it called? He goes, Boys of Summer. And I was blown away. He said, let's go in, and I'm working on a solo record. Let's go in and record it, Yeah. And so we had, the hard part was he loved the demo so much. My demos are pretty good, I must say. I just have a way. I don't mean that in an ego way, but I'm good at it. I know how to make them sound like finished records, not like just a guitar and a voice, but I, make them sound like a band. And so he wanted the record to sound just like the demo. And in fact, at one point, he came over to they sent somebody over to my house to get the 4-track and take it to the studio and plug all the posh gear through that to make that sound. Of course, that wasn't the answer. But I had to go in and recreate that music for him so that he could sing over it, And I did, and it was I won't go into the details. It was a long story, but I finally got it right, after a week or two of toiling away, getting every little. Because when I did the demo, all those little guitar fills and everything, I didn't work it out. Yeah. I just pushed record, and the loop came on in the keyboard, and I just went da-da-da-da, played some guitar along with it, noodle, noodle, noodle. I didn't know what it was. Yeah. But now he wanted that. So I had to go back and learn those licks. Yeah. And that's not what I do, And it was hard for me. I know you're laughing, but it was really a struggle because I'd have to go, okay, da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Okay, and I go, oh, 1, 2, 3, da-da-da. I had to count it in to learn what I had done. But I got it. So I got it. Finally got it all finished down at the studio with Danny Korchmar and Greg Ledani, the producer. Yeah. And it was sounding really good, And then Don comes in the next day and he goes, I'm going to change the key. The Heartbreakers never changed the key. Yeah. I wrote this in G, guys. We're going to do it in G, and you're going to sing it, and you're going to like it. We're not changing the key for your stupid, voice or whatever. Yeah. So Don, he said, okay, I want to move the key up from a half step or whatever it was. And I'm thinking, oh, great. So I had to do all the instruments again. At least now I knew how they went, but I had to redo them again in the new key. And so another week went by, and we got it done. And you know what? That motherfucker was right.
Yeah.
And because what he heard that I didn't think about was that in the voice, as a singer, he realized that half step would give him the emotional push of strain, of soul.
Yeah.
That's not comfortable, that's like out there, edge. And he knew that instinctively. So that's how that song came about. Long story, anyway.
But a beautiful story, regardless. It's so great.
Okay, here's the last part of the story. Thank you very much. Okay, so it took so long to do the new key. He had to turn his record in like 2 days.
Wow.
And so we got the thing, we mixed it, and there was like 4 of us on the thing mixing it. It was back in analog. There was no digital. We had to do it physically. We got the mix, and we jumped into Don's Porsche, and we drove over to the mastering lab to master it. Mastering is when you have the mix, and you put it up on another machine, and you tweak it again with treble or bass or whatever, or limiting to make it pop. And that goes into another, the final version, the mastered version of the song, which is a little sparkly, more than the demo. So we got that, and as we were doing that, and the tape was rolling by, and I look over, and I see tape going on the floor. And the backing on the analog tape they were using some kind of fish oil back in the 70s, and it wasn't very good. So it was peeling off of our master.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And I said, stop, stop. And I showed him, and the engineer went, oh my fucking God, what are we going to do? And so they painstakingly, fortunately it was only like a little bit, 30 seconds into the song. It didn't go the whole song. So they took it back, and they painstakingly glued it back, the backing back
crazy
onto
glue
the tape
kind of thing?
by hand.
Yeah.
Got it to play through once without fucking up. That was the record, okay? And so then Don and I jumped back in his Porsche, and we had the mix on a cassette once again. And he had this hot rod Porsche or whatever, and a big sound system. and we get in the car, and we're driving back to the valley, and he puts it on, and it comes on, and he starts driving faster and faster. And then he had to turn, and he ran up on the curb and almost crashed because he was so excited, So, long story short, 2 days later, the record's turned in. I'm out jogging out in the valley. I'm listening to KLOS. Sorry. I don't even know if you guys were there yet. But, and I'm jogging, and the guy goes, here's a new song on Don Henley's upcoming record, co-written by da-da-da. And that song came on. It was like that, like instantly mixed, run off the road, put on the radio, and I'm hearing it on the radio on my little Walkman. And I'm thinking, wow, that's amazing. It ended, and the guy goes, I got to hear that again. He played it 3 times in a row.
Wow.
Now, on KLOS, they didn't do that. They had commercials and programming, and you didn't get away with playing a song 3 times in a row. And so when that stopped, I ran home to my wife, and I said, hey, we're going to be okay. Because we were in a little hot water with our mortgage at the time, because I had gotten a nice house, and then Tom decided not to tour that year. And so this record came in just in time, and it saved my house. And it's like, she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, I think we've got a hit record,
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is such a great story all the way around. We love that.
Baby, can't wait. Baby, gotta go. Gotta do a number on the late night show. Do a little song, do a little dance. Gonna make the best of every little chance. Don't really matter if she don't or if she do. Trying to make the best, the hometown blues. Blues. Come on, Chris. but it's no big deal.
Yeah, don't really matter if she don't or if she do. She's trying to make the best, the hometown blues. Blues. Baby, save me, save me, save me with your sweet smile. Honey, I really need you. Only need a little bit of time. All of the girls run with the crowd. They go wild when the lights go down. Got a little money and a little bit of dream. Wanna be the queen of every little scene. Don't really matter if she don't or if she do. She's trying to make the best, the hometown blues. 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 Here we go. Thank you.
You know, it was interesting how when it came time, I mean, when the greatest hits came out, we talk about covers that you guys did. That version of Something in the Air is just so brilliant. Thunderclap Newman. Tell me about the decision to record that, because it's
Well-
you really made it your own, and it sounded like I mean, I knew the song obviously from being a kid, but it sounded like it just fit as a Heartbreaker song, even though it was a cover.
There's a short story to that one. I mean, the last story was long, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But this one, we were on tour, and we got this band, the Georgia Satellites, to open for us, right?
Yeah.
Who I love. And we were at a sound check one day, and they were doing their sound check, and they played that song, and I was sitting with Tom, and I was going, we should, or he said, we should do that song. And so we got in to do our greatest hits, and with Rick Rubin, who was, supervising it all. And two things we wanted. We wanted that cover, and then we wanted we didn't just want to put out the hits. We wanted to put out a new song.
Right.
That would be
Mary Jane. Mary
It
Jane's
turned out to be
Dance.
Last Dance with Mary Jane. So we had a greatest hits with a new hit on it.
Yeah.
By God's graces, it was a big hit. So, but we got that from the Georgia Satellites doing it at a sound check.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Cool song.
Yeah, you took out a lot of cool bands. You took out Replacements. You did a lot, it was just, you took out the Replacements. So I wanted to know.
Replacements, yeah, the placemats.
Yeah, there you go. But I saw, I love that you guys would always.
I could call them the placemats because they used to call us Tom Petty and Excess Baggage.
Did they really?
Yeah, we had a thing. We were, we were
just busting each other's
We were
balls.
all punks. Yeah, we were pissing on each other. But I love Paul Westerberg, and those guys were great. But they were a little loosey goosey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
God bless him.
When Tom was doing, the album, when he was working on Full Moon Fever, it was supposed to be a solo record, but of course, I think you and Penmont were both on there. And let's talk about Running Down a Dream, because that was a song that, of course, that you co-wrote
Yeah,
and
Running
were a
Down
part
Dream.
of.
Okay. Well, the solo record was interesting because, and this is a testament to Tom's love of the Heartbreakers. Okay, from day one, he had the suits saying, "You don't need those guys. You could be like Rod Stewart. You can go like jet set and be a solo artist and be big. You don't need those idiots." But Tom knew better. I mean, he wasn't that he was lack of confidence in himself, but he knew that with the band there was something magic that he wouldn't get on his own, and he stood by that to the last day. God bless him. He never turned his back on the Heartbreakers. But he did. We were at a point after we had done Around the World with Dylan, I think, or whatever, and we were a little burned on each other. And Jeff Lynne showed up, and they met at a stoplight and said, "Let's write a song." And they wrote. Tom had started a song, and Jeff helped him finish it, which was Free Fallin'. And Jeff says, "Well, let's record it. Let's make a record." And Tom says, "Well, Mike's got a studio in his garage. Let's go over there." And so they show up, and we cut the record in my garage. We cut that whole album in my garage with me engineering, and one song after another every day. I Won't Back Down, all those great songs.
Yeah.
Running Down a Dream was interesting because it was in the riff, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. was inspired by something completely different. My wife and I, Marcy, who's here tonight, we went out to Devonshire to see what was that band? Jane's Addiction. Yeah. Okay, and I thought they were cool, and I was listening to them that night, and I think, there's this really cool edge they have,
Yeah.
And so I went back to the studio that night, and I played that riff, but I didn't play it like it ended up. I played it like. I was hearing it that way because that was the groove that they played a lot.
Yeah.
So I cut a little demo in that rhythm. And I guess it was Jeff, I wasn't there, but Jeff and Tom pulled it out and said, well, I usually write with Mike, here's something he has. And Jeff said, well, that's great, but we should do it in double time. It should be da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And that was Jeff's genius. So we went in and cut that in an afternoon. And it had an ending on it. Well, I don't know how much you want to know about it, but Jeff, I have to say something about Jeff. He was so great, and I learned so much from him, and he was so much fun to work with. And we did that Full Moon Fever record, sometimes 2 songs a day, just me and him and Tom, because he knew what he wanted. And we would use a drum machine to start to lay down the acoustics, but then we'd bring in a real drummer, and he would play the snare by itself, and he would play the toms by themselves, and that was the Jeff Lynne sound. All the drums were isolated by themselves so that no nuances were fighting with the others. So that's where his drums sound that way. And anyway, there's lots of things he does. But the part in there where it goes running down a dream, that's Jeff. That was his idea, acoustic guitar riff. And so then it got to the end, and it goes on for a while. And the Heartbreakers didn't usually do long solos, and they were standing there and said, well, Mike, why don't you play a solo on the end? I said, sure, So I plugged in my SG Junior, which I have here tonight, actually, that guitar. And like the way I work mostly is I don't plan things out. I just go run the tape, push record, and I listen, and I just hope something happens, and I'm usually pretty lucky with that. Yeah. So Running Down a Dream, I did that. They ran it by, and I just played some stuff, and then they said, okay, do another take. I did 3 takes, and off the top of my head, and then we picked the bits that Jeff liked, and put them together. And Jeff had this thing in the studio. If you were doing something wrong, like if you were singing out of pitch or whatever, you'd get this. He wouldn't say anything. The glasses would come down, and
He'd just glare at you.
you're flat, or whatever. And on this overdub, he put his glasses down when I was playing, when I was doing the diddle part, whatever, and he was going, how did you do that? I said, I don't know. He said, well, and he gave me the Jeff thumbs up, So that's the story of that one.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. I think it's
since I wrote my book, I'm full of stories.
Yes. Yeah, that book is incredible, and I just love that. Can let's talk about the Dirty Knobs and the stuff that you've been doing with it, which is so great. And can we talk about the last album, too? Because I love that you were on there with Lucinda, which was so great, Graham Nash. Obviously, you were a big Hollies fan as a kid, and then CSN, of course, as well. Those great records and things that he's done over the years. Probably Songs for Beginners, all that. But tell me about when it came time to team up with some people to be on the record.
Well, it was always an afterthought with the Knobs. We have different guests on all the records here and there.
Yeah.
And I don't think about that when we're making our track. But when it's done and we're sitting back, I might think, well, wow, wouldn't it be great if we had Graham Nash on here? Wouldn't it sound so good with a high voice? Yeah. And as it turned out, he was doing my radio show interview. Yeah. And I got up the balls to ask him, hey, would you want to sing on one of my songs? I thought, sure. I'm too busy, whatever. But he said, sure, I'll make your song better.
Is that what he said?
That's what he said.
That's so great.
And you know what? And he absolutely did. God bless him. Yeah. And so I was just like, wow, Graham Nash is singing on my record. And he's such a nice guy. And he made the song so much better. Chris Stapleton was the same way. Yeah. Lucinda. Yeah. And Margot Price. and the others, I mean, it's always an afterthought for the guests.
Yeah.
And I've got some guests on the new record coming up that are really, really cool too.
That's great. Is the new album?
Yeah,
a lot of
it's
it
coming out
complete, or
first
is
of the
it?
year, around or just February or March. I don't know.
Oh, that's
I'm
great.
supposed to say that, but yeah, I'm really proud of it. But we got a couple of surprises on there. Yeah.
I cannot wait to hear that. I think that'll be great. That'll be an amazing time. I love that you've always loved to perform live, and that's one of the things that's really exciting to watch you play. How do you talk to me about being out on the road? Is there still such a great feeling that you get when you get to go and perform those songs in early stages, like, or when you've just released a record like that?
Yeah, playing live is my life's blood. I mean, that is, I guess it's hard to describe if you've never done it. But if you've written a piece of music, and maybe your partner has written some words to it, and it's on the radio, and you go to a concert, and there's 20, 30,000 people out there, and you start the song, and you see their faces light up, and they start singing along. It's like, I don't know, it's like kissing God. You know, it's like the most amazing feeling. I mean, it's beyond any other feeling in life. I mean, you know, love and sex are right up there.
Yeah.
But, you know, playing on stage and feeling that energy, it's hard to describe. It's almost like you're standing in the kitchen and you open the oven and this wave of warm heat comes at you. That's kind of what it's like, but it's not heat, it's love.
Yeah.
You know? And this feeling comes and it hits you like you can feel it. And so you're playing, it goes into your hand.
Yes.
And that goes out there. And then they hear it and they come back here. And it's this thing that happens. And that's why I keep doing it, because there's magic in that. And there's no place else in life to get that feeling.
Yeah. Well, we are so grateful that you still do. I got to tell you that. Mike, I mean, it's an amazing thing, you know, becoming a part of the fabric of honestly, one of the greatest American bands or bands in the world, to be honest with you and the Heartbreakers and all the things that how you've touched so many people musically. Is there ever a time sometimes where you're like, wow, man, this is my dream since I was a kid. This is what I wanted to do. This is how much I love. I've always wanted to do it. Is there ever a time when sometimes you go, wow, man, I can't believe I've been able to do this with my entire life. It's such a beautiful thing.
All the time. You know, and what it's kind of like is, you know, you go through your life and you have a task to do that day. Maybe you're working on doing this, or you got to go travel. Or you're on stage. Sometimes it'll happen on stage, you know, or in the studio, or when I'm writing a song, you know, and I'll just... I talk about it in my book, the magic of creation, of creativity, and the gift of songs that come from Lord knows where they come. And I've just, the way I describe it is I'll just be in the moment, and I'll just look up and go, how did I get here? Yeah. Why me? Thank you, you know. Yeah. Thank you for the gift, but how did I get here? You know, it amazes me. I feel so lucky.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's, you know, it's a funny thing. I might have said it to you before, Mike, but me and my friends had a saying. We're like, if you can't find a Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers song that you like, at least one that you love, or a Beatles song, at least one that you love, then I don't know if I can trust you. You know. But I just want to tell you how really beautiful is that. Thanks for coming to do this for the station and for public radio tonight, and for all of our members at KCSN and SoCal Sound. It just means the world, and I love getting to spend time with you. It's always such a joy to talk music with you, Mike.
Thank you, Matt. And just for the record, I do love this station, and I do listen to it a lot because it plays the coolest stuff. Yeah. You know, and with the industry, the way it's morphing into Spotify and streaming and all that other crap, radio is even more important, you know, because that's the soul of rock and roll America, is the radio. Yes. That's what got us here, and that's what keeps it going. Yeah. And you can pick it up in your car, anywhere, it's always there, you know. Absolutely.
It's the greatest, and I feel so blessed to be a part of KCSN. I love the SoCal Sound and our audience and the incredible staff there. So I'm just, I'm very honored and blessed to be here every day. So I want to say that. And I love having you, Mike. So we're just really grateful. We loved having you here tonight. So,
yeah,
so
sure.
Thanks so much for doing this, Mike. It means the world to us.
Well, thank
So
you.
what do you guys think? You want to see Mike and the Dirty Knobs do some music right now? He's got some incredible stuff he's going to do throughout his career. I'm very excited to hear some of these songs you do live. So, Mike, thank you so much.
Let me tell you, Matt, you're my favorite dude. With the microphone, I've been watching you for a long time, and every time you pop up, I stop and watch you. Matt Pinfield.
Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you so much. That means the world to me. Thank you.
Okay. You think you're gonna take her away with your money and your cocaine. You keep thinking that her mind's gonna change. I know everything is okay. She's gonna listen to her heart. It's gonna tell her what to do. She might need a lot of loving, but she don't need you. You want me to think that I'm being used. You want her to think it's over. Can't you see it doesn't matter what you do? Buddy, you don't even know her. She's gonna listen to her heart. It's gonna tell her what to do. She might need a lot of loving, but she don't need you. You just can't creep up behind her. Man, you can't understand that she's my girl. She's my girl. Yeah, she's gonna listen to her heart. It's gonna tell her what to do. She might need a lot of loving, but she don't need you. Woo woo. Thank you very much.